Hey everybody, I'm excited to be able to come to you from outside. So I apologize if the sound is kind of crappy because I don't have my mic on. And the wind is blowing and I think it's going to rain. I think we're going to get a storm tonight. We have had some severe weather come through and I know across the state, and I really hope that everybody is taking precautions. You've got your tornado bucket ready downstairs. I personally believe that's how I keep tornadoes away. I have my tornado bucket. It's got shoes and jeans and leashes for the pets and long sleeve shirts, because I will never ever forget that one of my friends who is a first responder, when the Spencer tornadoes happened, and they talked about how awful it was, people they rescued, since the tornadoes came in the night or when people were sleeping, that people were in their pajamas and they had to crawl out over broken glass and nails and wood splinters and the cuts that they got, things like that. So I always, when the sirens are going off and things like that, I do run to the basement, but I also, in my tornado spot, I have my tornado bucket, so I can quick pull on clothes and shoes and jeans and leash up my pets and put them in their little kennels so they're not just running at large. Yeah, be ready for everything. And also, I'm seeing so many posts through my personal feed because I have lots of friends and that grew up in Rapid City, and still a lot that live in Rapid City. I'm over West River a lot, talking about the floods, the Canyon Lake floods in Rapid City years ago, and how one natural event took so many lives and did so much damage. And we forget we can build a city, but Mother Nature does not care. The planet is going to do what it needs to do. So just seeing stories of people writing about what that time was like for them, and the people that were the helpers. And of course, we all love Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers, the people that risked their own lives and left behind their own belongings to go out and rescue people. And that happens all over our state whenever there's terrible weather. So kudos to all of our first responders and in our small towns and things like that that are supported by volunteers, volunteer EMS, volunteer firefighters, the rescue efforts that happen. So be prepared, be safe. I, like many Midwesterners, the first thing I do when there's severe weather is I go out on my porch, like a complete idiot. I go out on my porch and I absorb the lightning and I feel the rain and I love it. And every time I'm reminded that this is the worst thing I could do, and usually that's when I get downstairs before things get wild. So try to lead by example, not like me, and take cover as soon as you hear about severe weather. So tonight could be a severe weather night in South Dakota. Also wanted to take a quick moment. I've been on hiatus from doing videos because I have not been well. As I've talked about, having some chronic conditions and things, I've not been well. But I've also done some traveling and got to see the East Coast a little bit, and that was wonderful and awesome. And I learned a lot about lead mitigation in our homes. So definitely learned more than I ever knew about how dangerous lead could be and what programs are available to people. So definitely I'm probably going to be doing some posts about lead mitigation and how you can get help with that. And upcoming events. There's a lot of upcoming events in Sioux Falls that I'm looking forward to. June has both Pride and Juneteenth that are both looking for volunteers in Sioux Falls. So definitely look into those events. Went to the farmers market yesterday in Sioux Falls. That was great to see that those are back, and got really excited about a lot of things. Bought a lot of honey. Local honey is just warms my heart. So everybody should be eating local honey. And then the last thing, I want to remind everybody to check your voter registration. It's been in the news a lot. We've had a lot of law changes related to voter registration in South Dakota. And they purge the voter rolls if you've been stagnant in your voting practices. And people forget, even if you don't have kids, elections, even like school board elections, township elections, county commissioners, things like that, you got to vote in those or you'll get purged. Looking at the statistics in 2025, they purged voters from every registered party. The highest number of purged voters were Republicans, which that makes you wonder if the Republicans are just, we generally are a red state that votes that way, if they're just having voter apathy because they assume their vote's going to get what they want anyway. So the Republican Party took the largest number of purges in 2025. Next was the Democratic Party. And I feel like that comes from apathy because a lot of people that vote Democratic in South Dakota feel like their vote doesn't count and doesn't matter. And it really does. And, you know, you don't have to vote with your party either. You can vote either way. And the independent voters, of course, I think a lot of times independent voters tend to be, they don't necessarily stay long-term in South Dakota. So I am not a Democrat or a Republican. I've been registered independent my whole life. And I don't even flip back and forth for primaries. And I feel like it kind of gives you the freedom to vote for the person, not for the party, or vote for the policies. And that's really important. And that's where I want to talk about mansplaining. So first of all, go to the Secretary of State website and check your voter registration because primaries are coming up June 2nd. And in the Sioux Falls area, there's a lot of things going on. There is new mayor, several new city council members. If you're Minnehaha, there's more commissioners that are going to be voted in. Where I am in District 6, and I have school board elections coming up. And so that's really important to me because we can pay to educate or we can pay to incarcerate. And I would rather have more educated neighbors and happier, healthier, educated children than I would have to incarcerate. So we wouldn't be having prison discussions if we were having better school discussions. So I'm really looking into the school board elections for my district. And also that brings me to one other thing. I had a candidate that I've been following for several months that I was really following on social media and really vibing with and really thinking this person could represent me in my district. And then there was some debate and discussion that came up on their page. And I generally agreed with what they had put, but their statement was not really policy defining. And so I asked some questions about policy, and that person sent me some private messages immediately that were really aggressive and not polite, that told me to take a chill pill and that I was a clown. They used a clown emoji and some other things. They were not nice. They did comment on that they thought that my 3 comments in 3 minutes must have seemed like I was irate. For those of you that follow me, you know that I, again, have some chronic health conditions, and they include some muscular issues. I don't know if I call it a disability. It just changes what my abilities are. And so I often use voice to text, and I am a talker. I am a public speaker. I've been a talker since I was a tiny, tiny child. And I often say it is the proof in the pudding that I'm Irish because I'm such a talker. So when I use voice to text, it completes a large, long amount of text. People that know me, they make fun of me a lot, but basically even communicating me within text, you're going to get a whole lot of information. And sometimes I get told it looks like AI because I use big words. And when you use voice to text technology for like commenting and things like that, you will do a bunch of short burst comments because you finish a statement and then it's going to send, and then you need to do your next statement. And so I often will send 3 comments quickly, but that isn't even 30 seconds. It's 3 seconds. It's just like sitting here and talking to me. So, and I did reply that in my DM messages from this person that I was using voice to text, and that's why it happened so fast. And they continued to be not really nice and then blocked me. They also said that they didn't think my comments were genuine. They thought they were in response to someone else's comments, but they had already hidden that person's comments, so I wasn't aware of what was said there. They've also since hidden all of my comments, even though they've really kind of campaigned on the idea of transparency and being the everyman. So my comments are hidden, so nobody else can really, and I didn't screenshot them. I didn't know I was going to need receipts because I thought I was talking to somebody whose intent is to be a official public persona. So I can't really even defend myself, and I don't care to. I've been pretty open about how I feel about guns. There are guns in my house. I've been exposed to guns my whole life. I've been exposed to hunting my whole life. I live in South Dakota. I understand hunting and fishing, and I believe safe hunting and fishing and whatnot can be part of our communities. But I also understand we live in a modern era, and guns in an urban setting are different. I'm not going to go into it because I get emotional, but we can talk about the idea of what school shootings has done to modern urban gun ownership. And also I have concerns about how many unsecured guns get stolen in our area, and how, you can say I live a policy of gun safety and responsible gun ownership, but we don't live in a world where that's happening everywhere. So I believe in gun ownership, but I do believe in gun reform and policy. So I asked some questions about those things and got called a clown. In that time, the same person who is currently running for office also has gone on a really misogynistic tear with a lot of other people. I had not seen that in the profile before, but for example, telling a man who commented on their posts, and this politician told me they didn't want any more responses from me, and so they were going to block me, and they did. I hadn't responded any further after being called a clown, I don't think. But they blocked me. So I can't see this, but someone that knows me said, don't feel bad. He doesn't like men either. And sent a screenshot of where he told a male in our area that if he hurt someone's feelings, they should go get a therapist. And if he needed one, he could get him a tampon. And to me, when men compare other men to women and say that's a weakness, or having your period is a weakness, menstruation is a weakness, that makes you emotional and weak, that's blatant, outright misogyny and anti-care or concern or understanding of women. Because I'll look you right in the eye, sir, and shake your hand and say, I can bleed for 5 days and live. What can you do? So I'm currently in the market for a new candidate in District 6. So researching that. I do also want to say I have also been shown that there is someone who's heavily involved with one of the local groups in Sioux Falls related to a lot of demonstrating and issues like that. A group that I do not necessarily participate with as an individual, because I see a lot of microaggression in the terms of racism and how they perceive and describe our immigrant neighbors and our neighbors that are currently facing a lot of racial stereotyping and the fallout from that. So I've already seen that they're not necessarily a group I align with, because I don't believe they're in it for the humanity. But one of those people has very openly commented on the thread where I was attacked that said, 100%, I believe in you, sir, and I love how you speak your mind, and you're the new wave that we need, and just totally hitched their wagon to some really openly misogynist statements. So now I'm seeing a group in our community with microaggressions related to race and now related to gender. So I want to remind people, as there are events coming up and things like that, look at the works people do, not necessarily the words they're out there saying. Get to know the people and what they're doing behind the scenes. And a lot of people are willing to stand up and hold a sign, but are they Are they putting in the work? And read between the lines of what they have on their sign. If they're concerned about money versus many versus the people, that's the first thing to look at. But then look at also when they show who they really are. So I've also had a few people reach out to me from a couple of other different organizations that have talked to me about my safety and being safe and things like that in relation to some of these people. And I don't think these people are violent or coming after me personally or anything like that. But I also am fully aware they will not represent the interests of me or people like me, or I fear women if they're elected, or if those groups, the people that they are choosing to say, we are endorsing this candidate. I don't think that they're thinking of marginalized groups. I don't think that they're thinking of race, gender, equity, equality, any of those things. I think that somebody used the phrase Republican light. I have lots of friends that are Republican. I have a lot of ideas that are what would fall under Republican. But you know what they were saying with that. So look deep, look into your heart, do the right thing. And remember, a lot of people will say transparency, but what are they actually showing you when they've hidden most of what's being said? So vote, 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 vote. Vote for your school board elections. Vote for your council members. Go to city council meetings. I have been totally loving city council bingo and going to that. It's been great. Because city council in your town is bipartisan. That's not about party. That's about whether or not our toilets flush. And we all want that. We all want our toilets to flush. So do the right thing. Reach out to me. I have been put in touch with a small group of people in Sioux Falls that are every Saturday they're meeting the community where it's at and meeting needs for people in direct need. I can message you that information if you need it. DM me. But we're here in summer. Be ready for bad weather. Listen to Tyler and Phil. I follow Tyler and Phil religiously, and you've seen that my past 605 speaks with them. They know what they're talking about. Follow Sean Cable. He still is watching the whole Midwest for us. And stay tuned. My friend that's a merchant mariner is currently away at school to learn more, and we are going to do a follow-up about his time at sea recently. And I'm feeling a little better, so there's going to be some upcoming events that I'm going to go to and be filming at. So I love it. I love it. I would love to hear, again, the core of this project is to talk to someone from every county in South Dakota. If you're interested in being interviewed for 605 Speaks, the questions are easy. It's just like sitting at the diner, and I'm going to ask you if your town has a newspaper, a grocery store, a dentist, who does your hair, who's the best mechanic, things like that. Things that you already know the answer to. They're very everyday life. And then if you have a passion project or there's something amazing about your town or your county, I want to hear about it. So email me at 605speaks@gmail.com and let's talk. And that's Thunder. So I'm going to sign off. Go inside. Be safe. Mwah, mwah. Bye.